She said, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to be a great mom first. And all of a sudden she gets tapped on the shoulders, and now she's told she doesn't have the right to run.
There are lots of examples throughout history of unassuming people being tapped by a bizarre series of events to assume a pivotal role in American history. And sometimes those people have succeeded fantastically, and sometimes they have not. But John McCain had 5 months in which to pick his vice presidential nominee. And John McCain, let's just limit it to women, Brian, if John McCain for some reason thinks that will energize his campaign. He had Senator Kate Bailey Hutchinson. He had Condoleezza Rice, whom you just mentioned. People with whom national security is something they are intimately conversant. This woman, Sarah Palin, has to learn from books and from campaign strategists in the next 2 weeks what Condoleezza Rice has spent 30 years learning and understanding. You cannot compare the knowledge of one to the other.
Everyone's got assets and strengths. You can't have everything. John McCain's going to have to lean on his Secretary of Treasury more than maybe George Bush, who was in the business community and understands it better. I think when it comes to foreign relations, I think that John McCain's going to trump his Secretary of State. Vice President Biden, if he gets the mantle, will be helping, like Dick Cheney, President Barack Obama. They're going to work together. But do you think that if it ends up being, after the first year in office, President Palin, you don't think their Secretary of State is going to compensate with that?
Well,
it's going to be somebody like a Jim Baker.
She would be surrounded by the best and the brightest that a John McCain administration could put together if, God forbid, John McCain got elected and was unable to serve for some reason. But you cannot beat the knowledge and the instinctual behavior of someone who just knows these things. And John McCain has spent 5 months saying Barack Obama doesn't know them and the presidency is not a learn-as-you-go job. And then by picking this woman, he wipes that issue off the table.
And that's the risk. But right now, the number one issue with Americans is the economy. The subset of that is energy, oil and gas. Where is it located? A lot of it in Alaska. This lady's fighting for the getting rid of the Bridge of Nowhere because we're concerned about the budget. I am not saying she's ideal, but I'm saying she's exciting. Why does Newt Gingrich sit across from me yesterday and say, I have never seen anything like it? Why does he say this is the perfect candidate?
Why did Lindsey Graham try to persuade, I forget who the questioner was, we just heard him a few minutes ago from one of the Sunday...
Stephanopoulos, I think.
Stephanopoulos. Why does he try and persuade Stephanopoulos that Sarah Palin is the woman when he spent 6 weeks lobbying John McCain right up until last Wednesday that it should not be her, it should be Joe Lieberman.
Well, what is
because they're good soldiers, because they want John McCain to win. Therefore, they will give him this choice, even though they may have personal reservations about her.
Judge, if Senator Joe Lieberman was running with John McCain, you'd even be more against him than you are with Palin.
But not on national security grounds, which John McCain says is the issue of the day, and I think you say that too.
Who's got the economy down? Who's going to energize? Who's going to go take a look at oil and gas and energy? Who's going to have a different set of skills? Why do they have to have the same skills? Why can't she be a great up-and-coming leader at 44 like she led a state?
Because John McCain has been telling the country for the past year and a half that the most important issue is not the economy, it's not energy, it's national security. And he is the best qualified candidate amongst all those running. At the time he said this, there were 16 people running, 8 Democrats and 8 Republicans, on the issue of national security. If Sarah Palin had become the 17th, she would have ranked last in experience on national security and foreign policy. And now he wants to say she's as good as I am? It's not believable.
Well, no one who's running for president thinks the vice president is as good as they are.
Well, you might designate a vice president like George W. Bush did, who knows more. You might designate a vice president like Barack Obama did, who knows more, who can truly fill in gaps in the president's understanding.
But he doesn't need it, Judge.
Here
Barack
he's
Obama
designated
needed
a vice president who knows nothing about his signature issue of national security.
Because he signed it, because that's his signature issue.
So what happens if he gets sick? Or what happens if he can't serve? Then we have someone who knows nothing about national security as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
As you said wonderfully a little bit earlier, maybe in the earlier block, you know a president isn't alone, even though they stand alone. You know that they rely on a package of security advisors with a wealth of experience, and that's who we'll be tapping into him. Hey, Judge, listen to this. I got a call from my mom, and I'm thinking, why would she call me in the middle of the show? You have upset her so much, and she likes you so much, she is beside herself about your review of Governor Palin. So I thought it was an emergency, so I took my headsets off, and I called and listened to the message, and she's not going
to make me tomato sauce anymore?
I think it's out of the question.
Serving up a grande auditory espresso. You're with Brian and the Judge.